All right, for this channeling message, Spirit is like talking about those who gave you the side eye when they could have gave you their hand. They gave you the side eye when they could have gave you their hand. Just watched you go through whatever you went through without giving a helping hand. Not to say that they had to, but it's just off the strength of the circumstance. Like, you know that they had the means to, you know that they could have, but they chose not to. But they wanted to know every step of the experience that you went through. But they just chose not to be there for you. Not to, like, I heard support you. Maybe some of you just needed a few positive words one time before. And instead of you receiving that, you received, like, I heard their ass to kiss. Okay. What does that tell you about that person? Spirit is also saying if you saw someone in that predicament, especially someone that was close to you, what would you have done? But then they're saying you only do what you can. You only do what you can. But the thing is that a lot of you know in your life that there were some people that were around you that could have, like, been there for you, and they were not. Okay. And that was their choice. Something also about them not being able to hide their smirk. Not being able to hide their smirk for their excitement about your downfall or about something that you went through that was challenging for you. They weren't able to hide their smirk. That's what I'm getting here. They weren't able to hide their smirk. So there's something about your trouble that made them, I heard, made them put themselves on a pedestal compared to you. I heard as if they didn't go through anything before. As if they're immune to, I heard, immune to the facts of life. They wanted to act immune to their traumatic experiences. And I'm also hearing that there's many people that have gone through things and they didn't have anybody there for them, but because they didn't have anybody there for them, they've become bitter. So now it's like, if they have the means to be there for someone else, they wouldn't do it. Just because of their pain from their past. Okay, so Spirit is saying that could be a reason why a lot of these people that could have helped you didn't help you. Because they kept thinking about the fact that when they needed help, there was nobody there. Not to say, because I feel like a lot of these people that could have helped you are your elders, like they're older than you. For some of you, they could be like in the same age range. But I feel like the majority of you, these are elders, people that are older than you. People that when you were going through something, maybe you were not stable because you were young, like you were younger, like teenager. I'm picking up like teenager vibes. Like as a teen, there's things that you needed to hear, things that you needed to know, and the people that could have told you didn't tell you. They didn't take time with you, and you had to kind of like figure it out on your own, or you ended up figuring it out the hard way. I just heard, by trying to trust in people that you didn't realize you couldn't trust. I think that happens way too often And I think it happens to the best of us, like not having anybody to talk to as a teenager. And then once you think you found a friend, you know, as a young person, you kind of like allow transparency to shine through you, trying to seek guidance through communication. However, it doesn't mean that everyone that you talked or spoke to at that time had good advice, because, you know, I heard some people will misdirect youngins, like the youth, on purpose for their benefit at times. And I'm also hearing there are many people that will just manipulate you into thinking a certain way just because it works for them for whatever reason. Or they don't even know any better, so you would be getting information from someone who doesn't make the right decisions. But as a young person who is trying to figure out life and how to navigate life, I heard there's no manual to this. You just ask whoever you can ask, or you might not ask at all and just look at people and what they do and how they do it, and you kind of learn from being an observer. What you hear is not always good, or what you heard is not always good, or was not always good. What you saw was not always good. So you ended up doing some things that weren't always good, is what I'm getting. And it's because of your environment. It's because of what your environment taught you. So when you wake up and you feel like you're worth nothing, that's just because that's what the people around you show you. That's just because that's what your environment shows you. Right? It's not you. It was just the influence. Be careful who influences you. Be careful of the influence that you allow. You have to be able to decipher what is good influence and what is influence that can harm you, or harm your future, or harm your family, or harm your subconscious mind. I heard their time is up. The perpetrators, their time is up. It's a new day. It's okay for you to change your ways, because many ways that you have are not even your own. You just thought they were because you do them. Just like, you know, children, if they see you act a certain way or speak a certain way, you're going to notice that they say it too, because that's their environment. That's what they see. That's what they know. Like, okay, for example, I have two different examples. Hold on, I don't know which one to choose. Okay, my nephew and my child. We're very playful with each other. We're always laughing about something. We're like always like, we just have moments where everything is funny, right? And my nephew is turning into a little tiny comedian, like, because he's a jokester, and he's 4, but he likes to prank and all this stuff, and that's just him. And it's because he's around people that are always in laughter, like, you know, and he also has this way about him where he will correct you. Like, I'm looking for an example. Okay, so the other day he was in a car and he started ripping up paper just because he was bored, and he left it there. Now the next morning he went back in the car. It was time for him to go to school, and the first thing he did was look around. He's like, who made this mess? who made this mess? And his mom was like, you did. You don't remember that you ripped up all the paper before we got out the car yesterday? And then he's like, oh, well, somebody has to clean this up. It's too much mess. We need to be clean. So it's like, okay, those are just examples, because it's just to show how powerful people in your environment and your environment influence you, okay? So don't think it's just you. Just know that things that you think, ways that you behave, you must know that it has come from your environment. It has come from what you know. And if there's anything within your characteristics as a person, or your attributes to your behavior or behavior traits or whatever you have, if there's something about yourself that you aren't too happy with, you can change that now, because you have the awareness, you have understanding to know, you know what, I learned that way from like my environment. I learned that way from people who I call friends. I learned that way from my family members, you know. I learned that way from what I see on television. So I thought it was the right thing to do because I see it on TV all the time. So it must be the right thing to do. So it's like, you know, Spirit wants you to know that if there's anything about you that you don't like and you want to improve and you want to change, you can. You know, I think a lot of people get stuck thinking that they don't have as much pull as they do in their own life. When you have all the pull, you are the pull. Okay? You got pull. You have pull because you are the pull. If you're not there, what's being pulled? Can't nothing be pulled because you do the pulling. Okay? Yeah, so you do have pull. You do. Okay. So yeah, what is it about yourself that you want to change for the better? What is something deep inside of you that you don't really tell anybody that you want to change? You can change it. You might have thought for a long time that you can't change it, but you can change it. It is your choice what you want to do. It is absolutely your choice. Like, how do you want to change it? Do you tend to get annoyed at little things often and you don't want to feel that way? Do you want to work out more? You want to go take walks? Do you want to have a better relationship with somebody in your life? Do you want to learn how to pinpoint individuals in your life that aren't good for you faster? You know, instead of repeating traumatic experiences over and over again. Anything you want. Do you want to learn how to swim? Maybe. I just heard that. Maybe somebody wants to learn how to swim. Or float. I used to not know how to float. And a child taught me. Isn't that funny? My friend's son. Because I don't know, I could swim, but I couldn't float. I was like, how you do this? I think the water's gonna go in my nose. But I was talking to my friend's son one day when we went swimming together with our children. And he just did it. And I said, okay, show me how to do it. Like, show me what you do. And he showed me, and it was in the most simple terms, because he's a child. So, you know, children, when you could teach as if you're trying to teach a child, or if you can, I guess that's the best way to say it. If you could teach as if you're speaking to a child, so many more people understand what you're saying. Your teaching skills become increased. They're heightened because you are able to simplify things that are challenging, things that may be difficult to understand. So your teaching skills become more potent, okay? More impactful. Now, as for this young man, he was like at the age of, I want to say, how old was he? 11? When he told me, I think he was like about 11. And he taught me that day. And as soon as he just said a couple of words, I think, I'm trying to remember how he said it. I think he said, just lay back on the top of the water and let one foot up at a time and hold your arms out. The most simple way to explain something. And I said, okay, and I did it. And then I did it. And I was like, oh. This whole time I thought I didn't know how to float, and it was that simple. But it really just depends on, you know, sometimes you might think that you slow, or like you don't understand something, or like you can't learn right, or like you don't know how to retain information, but it's not that. Sometimes it's who's teaching you. Because sometimes you just don't connect with the teacher. If you can't connect with the teacher, you're not going to learn much. You're not, because the teacher is not, probably not a good teacher for you. That's the best way for me to explain it. Their teaching style might work for some people, but not for you. Okay. Don't feel like you're incompetent. Somebody is ridiculed a lot about your perception of things and your intellect. Like somebody tries to target your intellect a lot. Somebody tries to tell you often that you don't know what you're talking about. Like you're like something's wrong with you. Like you're crazy. Like you're out of your mind. But just because you think differently from them. That's such a narrow-minded person. Of course, there's people in the world that think differently from you because they've had different experiences. However, there's so many people that are so chained up by what they know that they become so narrow-minded they can't even give themselves a chance to learn anything else that's different from what they've learned and been taught throughout their lives, to the point where they might want to fight you if you say something that opposes what their beliefs are. They want to fight you, you know, because people can believe what they want to believe, but that doesn't mean that you have to like be angry. Everybody has their own life to live, you know. That's not your problem. So it's like if somebody doesn't agree with you, that's another thing. They just don't agree. That's fine. You know, it's okay that you don't agree. You don't have to agree, but you also don't have to be disrespectful with your perspective or with your take on something. If you want to be respected, then give respect. I heard because the tables can turn. So yeah, I just feel like there's people that could have taught you. There's people that could have just gave you a helping hand in some way. And I feel like a lot of it has to do with communication. It's heavy on the communication. It could have been like financial help as well. Because, you know, as a young person who can't use, you know, a little bit of money here and there to get them through difficult times. Okay. Maybe you were in between jobs and it feels like somebody was kicked out of their home with a parent or a guardian at a young age, and they had to figure it out. And it was the most challenging thing you ever went through because you didn't know what to do. So you ended up doing what you had to do to survive. And some things that you've done, I'm hearing that you might not be proud of, but you didn't know what else to do. Spirit doesn't want you to fault yourself for what happened. Spirit wants you to grow and know how strong and resilient you are, because even though you didn't know what to do, you did something. I just heard you didn't know what to do, but you did something. And I heard it was scary. It was scary. But you figured it out. You did what you had to do, whatever that was, and you did it. And then now you are where you are now, but you still struggle to a certain extent with certain things. And you know you do. It's hard for you to look at. Sometimes you don't want to look at it. Sometimes you don't want to think about it. But I feel like recently you've been thinking about it. Recently you've been trying to look at it, which is a good thing, because that means that I feel like the nostalgic moments that you get when you think about the past, or when you think about just deja vu, or like deja vu moments, or like just memories pop into your head, or maybe you're having dreams about challenges in your life. That's just spirit trying to help you sort through your shadow, so that you can learn to use your shadow to help you, not harm you. You know, your shadow is there to guide you. Your shadow, our shadow is like a guide. It's a guide for us to find the best tools that we have for our spiritual journey. It's like the best tools are there in your shadow. The things that are the most powerful are in your shadow. The things about you. So don't be afraid of your shadow, because that's where the treasure is at. That's where the gold is. That's where like the like I heard find rubies. Find rubies and diamonds. Deep. It's reminding me of like it's reminding me of a shipwreck, of like an ancient ship that has many prized possessions on it, and there's like a treasure box down there, and you have that within you. You have it, it's in your shadow. And you know, under the sea is dark. It's deep and dark. And the shadow is dark and deep. Everything that you need to feel better is actually in your shadow. Most things that you are afraid to look at heal you. Like how, what I just heard, snake venom. If someone gets bit by a snake, the antidote to heal them is in the venom as well. So your shadow is a representation of experiences, challenges, and triumphs, like successfully getting through the challenges. And it's like all of the answers are in the shadow. All of the answers to the unknown questions that it's difficult for you to find is in your past. So when spirit starts to give you a pass to time travel and go backwards into time, it's basically to help you heal certain things, to help you remember certain moments that are connected to those memories and those dreams that you have. It's to connect you to certain moments that are there for you to learn from them. That's where your power is. It's the real power is there in the darkness. In the darkness, you must bring the light. You must find the understanding to why certain things happen to you, so that you can transform those experiences that hurt you into your power, okay? So that's the message. I hope this message finds all who need to hear it. And thank you for being here. If you would like to book a reading, you can go to my website. I'm going to put it up there. Okay, if you would like a one-on-one with me, let me know. Send me a message in my contact form. Okay, there is a charge for it, but I'll let you know when you contact me. Okay, and we can discuss in that one-on-one mentorship program or mentorship session, okay, with me, Mystic Alchemy. And so Everything you do, do it with love. Always remember that God is in you and the magic is too, because you're magic. Much love to you, soul family. I'll see you in the next video.